welcome to What the Shoots! Today is July the 20-something, 2014, and today I'm talking about books. So and Jonathan, you both know that I absolutely love to read books. Last year I read 53 books. This year I have not read nearly as many. Been quite busy. I still read a lot, and I own a lot of books, and I borrow a lot of books, and I talk a lot about books. This past week I have rediscovered a part of YouTube called BookTube, where a bunch of YouTubers who are focused either solely on books or focus quite a bit on books and reading books and reviewing books and talking and discussing books. This week, one of my YouTubers I watch, Christina Horner, who used to be called I Talk to Snakes, she participated in the BookTube-a-thon, where they read 7 books in a week, and I kind of really wanted to take part when I heard about it, but I knew that last week was a horrible time to attempt to read 7 books cover to cover. But in the spirit of booktubing, I am going to share with you my TBR, or to be read list. This comprises of a number of books that I have on my shelf here in Moncton that I either am planning on reading really soon or have been wanting to read for a little while and just haven't got around to it yet. It does not include the books that are on my TBR list that I do not currently possess, which is quite numerous. The first book on my list is one I'm currently reading. It's called The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith, also known as J.K. Rowling. It's her pseudonym for her detective series about Cormoran Strike. I've not learned how to pronounce his first name, the main character. Sadly, I took this to Magic Mountain with me today and got a popsicle from the kids all over the front and down the side. I love my books. I try to keep them in perfect shape and keep them forever and love them. But sadly, accidents happen and it's a book, so it's, as much as I love books, it's not the end of the world. I also have the book called The Kitchen House. It's by Kathleen Grissom. I haven't read it. This is a book I bought from my grandmother a number of years ago, and then she's given it back to me, saying I'd also really like it. So it's on my TBR list, hopefully fairly soon, so I can give it back to her before I move away. Maybe next or the one after next. But it looks good. My grandmother recommended it, and my grandmother has pretty good judgment when it comes to books. I picked this one up this fall. It's A Brother's Journey by Richard Pelzer. Back in middle school, I read his brother's books. A child called it. I was in Alberta at a yard sale, saw this one, and was like, oh my goodness, this is by that guy's brother, about his version of events, or not necessarily versions of events, but his own life during this time, because they were separated for a long time. And I was like, I'm very interested to find out what his life was about. So that's, I got this book this spring. It's called Only Yesterday. It's an informal history of the 1920s by Frederick Lewis Allen. I'm not a huge nonfiction reader, but I do read a decent amount when they strike my interest. I picked this one up because 2 Christmases ago I was in a Chapters here in the local bookstore, chain-wide bookstore, and I saw this, and it spiked my interest because it was written in the 30s, like early 30s, so just after the 20s finished. So even though it's a history book and it was about the history of the 20s, it was written from the current time period where the 20s had just happened. So everyone in the public would remember the 20s and already know about all this. So it's not historical in the way that history books generally are thought about. And so I was very interested to read what the local population, or this local guy, thought about why the 1920s were important and how it conflicts or it supports the ideas I have about the 20s from today. And the last book is one I'm super excited to read. And I had said earlier this one might be the next book, but I'm thinking it will be after this book. It's The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet by Bernie Sue and Katie Roderick. They were producers on the Lizzie Bennet Diaries web series, which I loved. It's the Lizzie Bennet Diaries were a modern vlog adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, which is a Jane Austen novel I absolutely adore, even though I only read it for the first time a couple years ago. I do really love it. And this book is a novel adaptation of the web series. super excited to read this book. And Sarah, I'll see your video on Friday. And Jonathan, I'm super disappointed you didn't have one on Monday. Bye. Love ya.